Welcome, friends, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans, and we appreciate you joining us today for episode 6. I am your host, representing the old school wrestling fan and your favorite local barber, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling indie wrestling fan, Jeremy.
All right, guys, we got another great show for you planned today as we talk about all things pro wrestling. CM Punk is working with the young talent, Alexa Bliss to be written off TV, a great Brody Lee tribute, a new TNT champion is crowned, and more, all today on the show. All right, Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you so we can start off with WWE Smackdown. What do you got for us?
So this Smackdown was more of a go-home show for Extreme Rules, but there is one thing I'd like to talk about, and that was the main event, Montez Ford versus Roman Reigns. I thought it was an awesome match. I really like Montez Ford from the Street Profits. I always thought, he's really good. That guy just flies, and I think he has one of the best frog splashes out there right now. I don't know how many times you guys have seen it, but in the end, the winner was Roman Reigns, but I thought it was an awesome match. Didn't think I, needed the match, but turned out to be awesome. So I really liked it. At the end, the Usos came out. They did some chair shots to Montez Ford. They put Ford through a table, and then all of a sudden, the Demon comes out. He's on top of the turnbuckle. Jumps off of it to the outside, takes out the bloodline, and then takes him out with kendo sticks and chairs. It was a cool way to end the show. But yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning that main event match. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, they did more Extreme Rules stuff right there than the actual pay-per-view did.
or at least to the build.
Yeah, at least to the
pay-per-view,
build.
That's
yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, I agree with you. I didn't think I needed this match either, and when they made it too, I was like, not really that excited about it. But as always, Roman Reigns, at least right now, he's making every single match that he wrestles a must-watch match. And so
Roman's great, guys. Roman is great.
And I'm surprised that
really
the Demon came back, because I thought they would be kind of done with that. But I'm not sure where they're going with it.
Think about how great of an opportunity for Montez Ford that is. I mean, the only way to get better, and not saying he's not good, but the only way to level up, essentially, is to get into the ring with guys that are better than you, that have worked in bigger main events, bigger spots than you. And I mean, at least that's what I've always read, and that's, I think CM Punk verbatim had said that about himself, that he needed the main event at WrestleMania, he thought at the time, in order to level himself up one more. But yeah, that had to be such a cool experience to get in with Roman, who is their top guy, and feel that energy from the crowd and be a part of that kind of Roman title wave that's been really covering the whole WWE landscape for the last year. Like you were saying, Andy, I really like Roman. He's really awesome. When he was the big dog and doing, this is my yard now, I was not into any of that. But new Roman with the bloodline and Paul Heyman, very much into that, really.
Oh, he's definitely firing on all cylinders right now. And I've said it before on the podcast. I mean, majority of people hated babyface Roman, but those haters can really get down with him as a heel. So, I'm looking forward to seeing, where else his character goes. I know he's been champion for, I think they said it was like, at least at Extreme Rules or SmackDown, he's been champion for like 390-something days.
Yeah.
So over a year. But,
yeah,
let's see where it goes. But yeah, the match was cool.
Not much else on SmackDown really to go over. Let's say we get into Rampage, because there's some really cool stuff to talk about on this show. Andy, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, so this Rampage, I believe this was the Grand Slam Rampage, wasn't it? The 2-hour one.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct? Okay. So just a couple things I wanted to touch on there. The opening match was Powerhouse Hobbs versus CM Punk. I figure you guys might want to get into that. For me, obviously all these matches with CM Punk had been a while since you've seen him, but definitely had been a while since I've seen him wrestle a bigger guy like Powerhouse Hobbs. Though Powerhouse Hobbs, in his defense, can really go. He moves quick, kind of like Biggie, big guy, but can move fast.
I really enjoyed watching Powerhouse Hobbs wrestle.
Yeah, and I remember, I believe it was before Punk, signed, or maybe right after he signed. he was talking about the talent he would have liked to work with when he came, and Powerhouse Hobbs, I remember seeing him be on his list of people. So, and Darby was also on that list. So it almost sounds like, CM Punk is going down his initial dream list of AEW opponents for right now. But yeah, what you guys think of the match? I really liked it. Strong opener for that show.
Yeah, I thought it was great too. It has been a while since we've seen CM Punk wrestle, consecutively after the All Out match. So getting you back, used to his style again, compared to everything else on AEW show, is such a difference. And also, it's such great storytelling. You forget how good of a storyteller Punk is, wrestling in his matches, because he made Hobbs look really good. Other than the Hurricane Rana spot, which Hobbs crashed right on his head.
Yeah, he came down on his head,
straight
right?
onto his head.
Yeah, that was.
But other than that, I was surprised that Punk got Hobbs up so easily on his shoulders. You forget that Punk's kind of he's I think he's 200 pounds, isn't he, or something like that. But he looks small, but he pretty built, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if Adam Cole's 209, he's got to be a little more heavier. Also, side note, Punk was back to wearing his classic gear instead of the tights like he wore at All Out.
Oh, don't fire him up about that. That's been a Twitter
I'm not saying it's
right
a bad
now.
thing.
That's when he's been coming at people back that he said, he said, I had the long boys under my jeans. Don't think I won't do it again. And he says he's gonna wear the long boys again if you all keep talking smack. But I just wanted to say really quickly, just similar to what we were talking about Roman in the first match, CM Punk's getting in there with a younger guy, Hobbs, and he's giving him that experience. And in there, what I find really fascinating is, I'm sure between holds, he's talking to him saying, wait, and he's teaching him how to read the crowd and just little things like that and timing. And I find that stuff really fascinating. And I'm sure for him, being a young wrestler, being in there with, a huge superstar like CM Punk, who is, very experienced all over the world, it has to be a great learning experience for him. So I thought that was fun for me as a quote-unquote smart fan to watch, because it almost made me smile and feel happy for him, knowing that he was getting that cool experience. And overall, the match was super physical. Punk looked great. I swear, he's just going to keep getting better. He really doesn't have from what I'm seeing, any sort of rust. I think he's just going to fall right back into where he was. He's in great shape. He looks like his physical appearance and his cardio and everything looks really good. And Hobbs is just a genetic monster. He's huge. And I do see what you're saying, Andy, with the similarities to Big E. But I like Hobbs, though, on his own. I think he's definitely more serious than Big E, in my opinion. He's presented more seriously.
People compared him to Mark Henry, and since he's been kind of coaching him up, people were it's kind of like CM Punk versus Mark Henry in that match, if he was.
I definitely see that way more. Yeah, Jeremy, I see what you're saying way more.
Yeah, I mean, I just meant in the sense of a big guy, but he can move fast and just he can keep up with the smaller guys. Well, not saying Punk's small, but small compared to Hobbs.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, most people on the roster anyway.
Yeah, and I think since Punk's first match, he's already gotten so much better, in terms of just getting his feet underneath him again. It just seemed like he carried this match a lot more than the Darby match.
I did, yeah. I mean, I definitely did see a difference in how, or just his wrestling in general, from his match against Darby to his match against Hobbs. Not saying his wrestling against Darby was bad or anything, but I don't know, it felt smoother, I guess, this time around. I guess could be the word for it.
I don't know if it's because he was a smaller guy in this match, so he kind of had to do that role.
Mm-hmm. Definitely could be it. Moving on, though, I wanted to talk about Adam Cole and the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express, or Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, if you want to call them. They're calling themselves the Super Click.
Super Click, baby.
When it comes to this match, very fun match. It was second match on the show, so you had a good opener with Punk and Hobbs, and then you had this one. Winners were the Super Click. lately with Adam Cole being there, I'm sure the high of it will eventually die down, but I'm enjoying it while it's going on for now. And teaming up with the Young Bucks was fun to see. Thought it was a good match. Everyone got I think everyone got a chance to shine in it, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I feel like Adam Cole is taking it to the elite to like another level right now. At least for now, like his kind of newness.
The crowd's
to
on fire too with him out there.
And I like how the Young Bucks come out to their music and then they wait for Cole to come out, because they're gonna get a huge pop with Cole's music, because that's a great, I think one of his best theme songs that he's had. And then of course Jurassic Express comes out and everyone sings their song too. So just like the whole environment and match itself was awesome to see.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think what you're talking about, Andy, is like it's almost like we're getting to see right now those dream AEW versus NXT matches that we never thought we'd get to see, but they just all happen to be under the AEW umbrella. But for me, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but they announced for next week we're getting Bobby Fish versus Sami Guevara. So, these are matches where 6 months ago, a year ago, that would be like an NXT versus AEW dream match, and now we're getting to see them on a weekly basis. So seeing Adam Cole in there with any of these guys has been really fun for me, because it's almost like sometimes I have to pinch myself to be like, is this really happening right now? But it's been so fun. I've been really enjoying it.
No, you're completely right. I mean, when Adam Cole was champion in NXT and AEW was going on, like you said, you can only dream about some of these crossover matches that could happen, and now at least some of them seem to be happening and potential to continue happening.
Well, I was listening to Talk is Jericho, and Adam Cole was on there, and they were talking about exactly what we're talking about in these dream matches. And I think Jericho said that right now they have over 200 potential main events for the next couple years that they can go through and change out people. And they were like laughing about how crazy dream matches that they're going to have. So I'm so excited for what's going to come in the next year.
It's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
that too.
That's for sure.
Because that's not only singles matches too. You can have tag team main events and everything like that.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that covers Rampage. What do you say we jump into Extreme Rules? Because there's definitely some interesting things to talk about and some weird things that happen. So let's get into it.
Alrighty. So there's a couple things I got here that I wanted to get into. First being Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. Their match for the Raw Women's Championship. I want to say as a whole, this entire show, I actually really enjoyed most of the matches. It was some of the endings of them I did not enjoy, but I thought the matches were pretty good, including this one of Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. The winner was Charlotte Flair. She won with the natural selection. The crowd was booing at the end, and I believe it was against Charlotte Flair, though I think usually they're cheering most of the time, so that was a little bit weird to see. At the end, Charlotte dismembers Lily. Literally, Lily the doll literally rips her apart in the middle of the ring. Alexa Bliss freaks out and attacks Charlotte. They brawl outside the ring. Charlotte leaves. Alexa just sits in the middle of the ring and is screaming, freaking out. The reason why I wanted to go into this, though, is that I'd read that she's basically going to be written off of television for a couple months. Or the exact words I read were several months. Now, I just wanted your guys' thoughts. Do you think she comes back with the same gimmick, a new gimmick, or maybe she goes back to her old gimmick? On their recent promos together, Charlotte had brought up about how much she missed, the old Alexa Bliss. I know as a fan of Alexa Bliss, I preferred that incarnation of her. So I wanted your guys' thoughts on what she could come back as, what you guys would like her to come back as.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I heard a point from someone else made that because of Bray Wyatt's 90-day clause being up pretty soon, I think it's the end of October, that they're going to get rid of that gimmick because it's kind of, everyone relates it back to him.
Also, where else
Because
can
that's
you
where-
go with it now? I don't know where
that's-
else you can go.
Yeah, and I don't think any of the writers can do that because that was more of Bray's character in it than anything else. They have no idea what to do with it. So I think she's probably going to either go back to what she was, or it's like they might even double down with it, but I highly doubt that because I'm pretty sure this will be, revert her back and then she'll beat Charlotte when she comes back.
I mean, I hope not, but I mean, not her being Charlotte. I mean, I hope they don't double down on this, like Alexa's Funhouse or Playground.
I know we're normally the most positive wrestling podcast. It was awful. The match was good.
Now, if you want to see good wrestling, you can go back to 1981.
Well,
Saturday night's main event.
oh God, we're not talking about 80s WWF. If you want to go back in the 80s, you can watch some Jim Crockett Promotions, baby. All right. So, anyways, the match itself was good, but yeah, I did not like the thing with the doll. That's just not my thing. Am I the only one? Did you guys you guys weren't bothered by how just weird that was?
Well, I'm watching a grown woman play a child on television.
Yeah, I didn't like it much. And also her she had that black ink in her mouth that's supposed to pop.
Did you see the thing on her tongue sitting there?
It was a foaming tablet that wasn't dissolving.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
the camera caught it every time she opened her mouth. And
It was supposed to be like her drooling the black stuff, and it never happened.
Yeah, this segment was not my favorite, but the match was pretty good. I think she'll come back as her old self. I hope we can get away from all this silliness.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like they've gotten everything that they can out of this gimmick of hers.
Yeah.
And maybe being I don't know. I wonder if also, side note, I believe she's getting married soon. Maybe that's another reason to get off TV.
Yeah, she did. She is getting time off for something else. Like I don't know if it's that or not, but it is something else for that.
But I think sometimes you do need, at least fans need to see someone go away for a little bit in order to get them to like them again. Kind of like when Roman left for a while and then came back as a heel. She could come back and be the whole Twisted Bliss character, that heel again, and everyone, could be there for it. So have to wait and see. Who knows how long she'll be away. Next, though, I wanted to get into the United States Championship match, Damien Priest versus Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. I really liked it. I know the other week we had talked about how Damien Priest and Jeff Hardy against one another was a little weird, and then you had a good match with Sheamus, and I thought the three of them together was really good. Jeff did his thing, and every time Damien Priest is fighting with Sheamus, it's always really hard hitting. It was actually one of my favorite matches on the card. But the winner of the match was Damien Priest. He retained the United States Championship with a roll up to Sheamus. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we all thought that Hardy was added because he was going to take the pin.
I know. I was really
Sheamus
surprised. I thought that was gonna be his main role.
I really enjoyed the match as well. I thought it was super physical. I'm not sure. This is just me personally. I'm not sure how I feel about Damien Priest yet. Let's see if he grows on me or not. I'm not all the way sold on it. You know who does sell me more and more every week though? Sheamus is awesome. That dude is so tough. First of all, he just broke his nose again, legitimately.
For real, yeah.
Yeah.
I was seeing the pictures online. He definitely did.
And every time he wrestles, it is a war, man. They just beat the hell out of each other. And I like that style. So, for me, the sleeper of the match, Sheamus. Sheamus is awesome.
It's my favorite kind of wrestling.
So
Now,
physical.
Tim, you both watched WWE during the PG era. Do you guys like Sheamus bet more now than you did before? See, I didn't watch during that era. I had basically been on a hiatus from professional wrestling around that time. But both of you guys got to watch him. I just, do you feel like he's more physical now? Do you feel like, by now he's considered a vet.
I think his style is kind of the same, but back then they did a lot of stupid gimmicks with him. I think he won King of the Ring, right? And he had that King gimmick, which they give everyone whenever they win that. And it was just
did?
a waste of a gimmick for him. And they always made him, I think it was, really leaned into his Irish side, which WWE is just very stereotypical whenever they do that with whatever, where you're from, which I hate so much. But
What did they do? Pair him up with Hornswoggle?
I can't remember. I probably did.
I think for me, when he first came and he was feuding with Cena, I remember him and Cena in like 2010, I believe, had a tables match. And I just didn't get why he was getting this huge push. I had heard rumors that him and Triple H were workout buddies, so they would.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so they would hang out and stuff like that. But for me at this point, because it's been over a decade, I just respect him so much. I just think he's such a tough guy, and all these years, through any weird gimmick that they've given him, he's always made the best of it. Heel, babyface, and he's just super tough. So I just have a lot of respect for him. So he's grown on me a bit over the last decade.
So the main event of Extreme Rules, I want to talk more about the ending of the match, and I feel like you all probably do too, rather than the match as a whole. I did enjoy the match, but that's...
It was also the only Extreme Rules match on the card.
Yes, it was the only match that had any kind of stipulation, that is, on the entire Extreme Rules card. But
the only thing I wanted to say about the match was, why did it take them so long to get tables out? When the crowd was chanting for 2 hours, we wanted tables.
Yeah, Roman yells at the crowd. He's like, "No tables." He didn't want to give the crowd what they wanted. I mean, good for him playing the heel, but. So, I mean, it's always fun, especially after so long, to see the Demon Finn Balor in action. But the winner of this match was Roman Reigns, and it was basically due to Balor was on top of the ropes, about to do the coup de grace. He had made his big comeback, and the entire top rope collapses. And then Roman hits him with a spear. 1, 2, 3. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I don't know if it was done in order to protect the Demon character and say he didn't, lose exactly fair and square, didn't lose clean in the ring. There was something that interfered.
He didn't lose clean because of an assist from God.
Yeah, because God took the demon down.
I mean, Roman did point up at the
he
sky.
did the cross too.
So do you guys think that's what they're going for?
100%.
Honestly,
that's what WWE's going for.
Hey, don't forget Vince. Vince had a match against God once. It was Shawn and God, HBK and God versus Vince and.
They make God a heel both times.
God just ruining everyone's fun. Oh no, making all the heels win.
And should we back up to when Finn made his comeback? Because that's when his
how are we gonna skip over the red light and the music and the...
I completely. You guys
like
are completely right. I absolutely forgot about that. And it was just like it was like a soundtrack for his comeback. I don't think I've ever seen it done in any wrestling company.
Did not like.
The red lights. It was almost as loud as the commentators, if not louder.
Yeah.
And it didn't last too long, but shouldn't have happened at all in my opinion.
Hear me out. Same match, everything plays out the same way. Get rid of the demon comeback in the music. He's kicking Roman Reigns' ass. He gets a normal comeback. He doesn't transform into a demon or whatever. He does a normal comeback. He's kicking Roman Reigns' ass. He's going up. He almost has the victory. Coup de grace. Rope breaks. Oh my goodness. Then Roman gets the spear. I think that would have been okay. It just was too much. There's like the lights going, and then the music's playing.
Did you forget his little seizure that made him come back to life?
I was like
convulsing.
Just, as they say, it was too much gaga. Just too much things happening. Either do the demon convulsing, which please don't ever do that again.
Oh, Finn probably hated it.
I felt embarrassed for Finn.
Me too. When it was happening, my wife was just staring at me. I was like, I don't know.
That's the
she
part
loves
where
Finn too, so
this is not wrestling.
Yeah. But if it had just been the rope, I'd be okay with that. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I would have said that if you did the demon comeback, but just start with like that sound of him rising up. Then also don't play his music while he's making his comeback.
That was terrible.
That was weird. It's like, why are you playing? It's like someone's entrance keeps playing while they're beating someone else up. Doesn't make any sense.
I actually thought it was a mistake at first.
Yeah.
I was like, are they playing the winner's music early and they did the wrong winner?
Yeah. And then I
mean,
felt like maybe they could have had him go to the top rope and then one of the Usos like come up, like get up and then trip him, and then Reigns spears him instead of like the top rope all of a sudden breaking.
Yeah, I have to remember that it's God that broke the top rope, so that kind of changes things.
It changes things.
I mean, from what I read, everyone hated this ending to the match.
Ironically, Dave Meltzer was the one who was defending it, which I was like, "What?"
Oh God!
But
I didn't hear what he had to say. I just wanted to know how he could have possibly defended it.
Imagine being in the writers' room and someone's like, "Well, the top rope's going to break," and then they decide that it's because of God. And they're like, "Well, it's the demon."
What if we play the music in the middle of this match, not have it be distracting at all?
Yeah, and Vince is like, "Yep,
it's good shit."
So sometimes people talk about, like I saw something on the PW fan Twitter the other day where somebody had tweeted, pro wrestling and sports entertainment are the same thing and people need to get used to it. And I think that right there is a prime example. They are not the same thing. And they are.
It was
different.
1,000% sports entertainment.
Yeah. And almost 0% pro wrestling.
And then once we get to AEW, you can totally see the difference.
Too much Gaga, like Tim said.
Too much Gaga. You got to pick one. It just was a mess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, if you had just done the top rope thing and not the music, don't hate it as much. Still don't like the ending.
I wouldn't like it, but I could accept it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, they were like, let's do this, and this, and this. It's like, okay,
and
dude.
what is with the red lights? They, like, love the red lights during a match. You can't see anything.
No more red lights. No Fiend red lights.
Oh, I
no
forgot about that. I kind of
lights.
pushed that stuff out of my memory. Well, anyways.
Should we move on?
Moving on to Raw the next night. Just wanted to touch on a couple things. The show opened up with Bobby Lashley versus Biggie for the WWE Championship. Most important thing I got out of this was that the Hurt Business is, I guess, fully back together, minus MVP being injured. Looks like Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin are now back to helping Bobby Lashley. Wasn't a gradual thing. They just came out. We have no idea why it happened, but I'm sure we'll see them moving forward.
Good old WWE storytelling right there. It just happens.
Yeah, hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
No explanation. Like, all right, well, hopefully, we get to see what's going on eventually. But next was the Goldberg segment via satellite. I can't remember. Did they say, because a couple weeks ago, when Biggie won the championship, I think I had mentioned, are they going to continue the Goldberg feud? What goes on with that? Does Goldberg, still make it happen even though he won't be wrestling for the championship anymore? Did they announce, though, this Monday if it's going to be at Crown Jewel or not? I mean, I would assume it would be. Two big names like Bobby Lashley and Goldberg. I'm sure the Prince wants to see Goldberg again, even after his disastrous match against Undertaker.
The Prince wants to see Ultimate Warrior and Andre the Giant.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was something I was thinking about when I was watching it, because I didn't remember if they were going to say it was at Crown Jewel. It was just really Goldberg telling Bobby Lashley that he's going to be his victim. So, I'm sure we're going to see more about that week to week. But lastly, when it came to Raw, I wanted to talk about Biggie versus Bobby Lashley, which I know they opened the show, but then they finished it in a steel cage match for the main event. The winner was Big E. I thought it was a good match. Nothing like too crazy or too special, but it was a good way to end the show. It seems like they're really throwing everything out there on these television shows lately. But the takeaway from this was it looks like Drew McIntyre is going to be next in line. So it seems like he's, back in the title picture. I'm sure their feud's going to be good, though. I mean, as of now, both are baby faces, so that definitely could change moving forward. But any thoughts on either one of those two things?
I mean, I'm looking forward to having Biggie with someone else, kind of like Drew McIntyre, and his big ass sword that he always walks around with. Like, literally could kill someone with if he swings it at him. But they let him carry it to the ring. But I'm really, I think Drew McIntyre's only real storyline right now is back to the title, which I don't think there's much else for him.
Well, his last one was Jinder at SummerSlam, correct?
I don't know who that guy made mad. I swear, he always gets right there, and then something happens where he gets pushed back down. But
dude, he carried the company during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he gets
basically through the entire.
I don't feel like he gets any love for it though.
No way.
And I know he's friends with Jinder and they're boys, but it's like, oh, here's your reward after that huge program. You're gonna feud with Jinder Mahal.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get more positive. What else is going on?
Well, I don't know how positive this next part's going to be, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this week's NXT 2.0, or really just
oh boy,
the direction of the show as a whole.
I think it can be summed up as it's everything we feared it's going to be.
I feel like we all have a little bit different opinions, though also similar in some ways. I wanted to kick this off, though, and move it over to you, Tim, because you were texting us early, a couple days ago about your opinion, or really it was more of the direction that you think it's going, based on what you saw.
I tell you what, I'm really thankful for all the people that listen to the show, but NXT is going to become one of those shows where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to review it. I don't know if I can do that to myself every week if this is the kind of stuff that they're going to do.
It was hard to watch, to get through the whole... The 2 hours dragged on for me.
This was not a good episode for them at all. It was a weird mix. I thought it's so glaring. You can see the old NXT guys, how they fit with the new NXT people, and it's just a completely different vibe. It's like, you can almost tell it's so out of place, But what I was saying to you guys is I said, I think I get what Vince is going for. And it was during the segment where Johnny Gargano's hiding in the closet during the...
Look, I thought that segment was hilarious.
Look, no. Here's the thing. It did make me laugh and everything, but that's the segment that made me realize, I said, I think I understand what Vince is going for. The colors, the music, all that stuff definitely appeals to, I would say, people in their early 20s, younger, probably down to 12. It's there's a lot of hip hop and just the way everything's presented. And then
there's that talk show,
yeah,
Lash Legend. It's like a news show they're doing,
right? And then they're trying to also push the envelope a little bit with some of this sexual innuendo stuff, and none of that stuff was on the old version of NXT. This is all the stuff that I've noticed in 2 episodes.
So you think they're going for an edgier product?
Well, that's the thing. I think what we thought that Triple H was making an edgier product because it was grittier and the wrestlers would say, I hate you, and things like that, and it was darker. But I think Vince wants to actually do a more almost parental advisory-esque type of product.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think this is edgier, or do you think it's more of like you said, younger 20s, or even teenage edgier, as in making those sex jokes?
I think that he's trying to capture a segment of the audience that is very social media driven and young, TikTok, that. To me, that's what the show almost seems like, a wrestling version of that stuff. It's all wrapped into one to me. Just the vibe, the colors, the presentation.
I feel like I'm watching FCW.
See, I don't get that at all.
I feel like I'm watching a bunch of people. I have no idea who they are. They didn't gradually bring them on TV. They were shoved in my face, and now I have to watch these people grow as wrestlers, mixing with, or maybe phasing out, the talent that has been there. You know, before NXT changed, they did the, maybe it was more than once a year, they did the breakout tournament. And that was your chance to see these guys slowly, slowly get TV time, and you slowly got to know them. But since day one, I mean, the only person that I've seen from this new roster that I really even like is Braun Breaker. And I thought I was going to hate him at first, but he's actually pretty cool. Everyone else, like, there's this guy that's debuting next week. And I feel bad talking like this, but Tony D'Angelo, he's like an Italian mobster guy, like Hitman. I don't know if you guys have seen his promos, but he's wearing a fedora. He's like,
let me put,
talking super Italian.
We'll let Jeremy speak, but let me just say this: this show is quickly becoming, or could quickly become, the collapsible segment of this podcast, because if it's going to be like this every week, I don't want this to turn into the show where once we get to NXT to review, we just start trashing it, ripping it apart. Because at that point, if you want to hear that type of stuff, there's plenty of podcasts you can listen to.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Of course.
But I'm not going to waste my time watching that. I'm going to spend 2 hours watching bad wrestling. And there's some stuff that's already hard enough to get through. But there was some stuff where I just was like, this might not be for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sum it up really fast. For me, it's just that I think this is the direction. I mean, the direction they want to go in was all these new guys coming in, all these new kind of flashy storylines and things like you were saying. And I just think it's going to keep going more and more in that direction. So I have very low hopes for NXT any more than I did, really.
It really seems like they're trying to completely get a new audience than the previous one.
They're not keeping anything except for, Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, Roderick Strong, and Johnny Gargano.
Kyle O'Reilly. I think that was really all that we saw this week.
So those are like the pillars of the old NXT. Those guys look so out of place when they're wrestling like one of these, I guess, like they're quote unquote like the new people that they want to push. It just doesn't. It looks weird. It doesn't.
It's like weird thing about the Ciampa is the champion right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they did it, but when he won the title and that music's playing and the show is so colorful and looks like Nickelodeon and it's his like screaming music playing, I just was like, man, none of this makes any sense. It just looks weird. But I am happy he won the belt. I just want to add in. I love Ciampa. He's the man.
Well, it looks like Braun Breaker's about to get a title shot after being there, 3 weeks?
Guys, they're going to change that name, I'm telling you. Mark my words here.
I'd rather see him as a Steiner for sure. It's still not going to make me enjoy the product even better.
This is
Look, and also like 2 weeks ago or something, we actually had some pretty positive things to say about the show. This could just be a 1 week thing. I really hope it is, but the track record you just got to think about.
It feels like it's
unfortunately
more, this is the way they want to go.
So I'm definitely going to give it a couple more, weeks, a couple more watches before I really think like, oh, this is where they're going. My whole thing is with this week, this is just what I happened to saw and what we all ended up talking about.
Here's the thing. They need to be careful because this isn't like how it was 4 years ago. You can't just put a bunch of bad wrestling on TV and expect people to just stick around and watch it no matter what because you're the only option. Now there's so much good wrestling to watch. I don't have to sit and watch that. There's other options. I used to watch every single WWE show, every single WWE pay-per-view because other things like New Japan and Ring of Honor on Fight, not even Fight TV, it was like iPay-per-view or something at the time.
I remember you weren't even happy about it, and you were like, "There's a pay-per-view tonight." I was like,
"Yeah," and I would keep doing it.
You don't even sound excited
but
for it.
You don't have to do that anymore. there's plenty of good wrestling to watch. So that's the thing. I'm half joking when I say this NXT review might become the part of the show that we drop, but I'm also half not joking. It depends on how bad it gets in the next few weeks.
Moving on, I wanted to end with Dynamite. I know we usually go through the entire show, but there was a lot going on in wrestling this week that I felt like we could...
Big wrestling week.
We could just, hit some bullet points with Dynamite. And there were a lot, in my opinion, for this week. I'm going to start off. It was a Brody Lee tribute show. They were in his hometown of, I believe, Rochester, New York. The entire show and audience, was... had to do with Brody Lee and keeping his spirit alive and whatnot. The opener for the show was Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy. Lately, AEW has just been throwing bangers when it comes to openers, just setting the tone for the rest of the show.
They've such a good match.
So I wanted to get into that. Adam Cole won with a low blow, and then he hit the last shot. Awesome match. Jungle Boy's a star. I'm sure we've all said it before, but, last week I think we were touching on homegrown talent. He's one of those guys. And I got more to say about that kind of homegrown talent thing as we go through Dynamite. But, again, another one of those matches where I didn't know I needed it, but it was really awesome to see Adam Cole and him, go at each other. So, what do you guys think?
I thought this episode of Dynamite was great to show the future that they're going to have. Because everyone's been talking about Punk and Danielson and everyone who's come in recently. But I think everyone underestimates.
This show had everything, in my opinion. It was all around one of their best, I felt, television shows that they've ever had.
I think really the only bad Dynamite recently was kind of ironically after when Punk debuted at Rampage, like the following Dynamite then. That was the only one that was kind of a letdown. Everything else has been really great so far, and I love how Tony Khan's booking the show, especially now with having those opening matches that just set the tone, like you said, for the entire night. And it's just, everyone has to just do better than the opening match, which is insane.
What's really cool is the roster is so deep now that they don't even have to, we've been talking about these dream matches that they've been doing, but they don't even have to do a stacked card every week now. If you let me see Adam Cole wrestle whoever every, Wednesday or Friday, I'm probably going to be pretty happy with the show. So if they just keep doing that and giving me good wrestling matches and good storylines, I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to this show. I really like the chemistry that the two of them had. I actually watched the match with my wife, and she knows a bit about wrestling, and she enjoyed it too. She said, "Wow, these guys are really athletic," and I said, "Yeah, I feel like this is kind of this one guy in particular, this Jack Perry Jungle Boy guy. He's really young. He's going to be really big someday. Not that he's not already a star, but I feel like he's only in the infancy of his career."
They had a very good false finish that got me.
Yeah.
After he hit the Panama Sunrise off of the top rope.
I think everyone thought that was it.
Yeah, the entire crowd. Everyone popped. And then I believe there was another crazy move that happened. Adam Cole was standing on the outside, on the apron, that is, and Jungle Boy came over, jumped over the ropes, and Hurricanrana him off of that all the way down to the ground. So that was one of the big spots. But, yeah, I thought it was an awesome match. And like you were saying, Tim, you could put Adam Cole or any of these guys that we all know. If people are, afraid of getting lost in the shuffle, just put them in a match with these guys. Let these vets, help them shine and build them up.
By association, you're going to start, like now already, the next time I see Hobbs wrestle, I'm like, okay, well,
exactly.
You can't help it because in your mind you're like, well, he just wrestled CM Punk. So you start viewing him in a different
way. These guys make the other talent.
I think that's what they're doing, and I think that's what Tony has been getting at, pushing the quote-unquote the four staples of AEW, like the AEW originals. It was Jungle Boy, MJF, Darby Allin, and who was the other?
Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara. Which
and I'm going to get into
we'll
that.
get into that,
but during the MJF segment.
I think it's cool that Tony hasn't forgotten about. Yeah, we have all these huge international stars everybody knows, but these are going to still be the future guys that in the next 10 years are going to keep carrying this company.
I feel like that was always the plan, though, because they actually do long-term storytelling, which is, relatively new idea right now in wrestling. Which
I don't think they really deviated. I think this was almost just a reminder. I feel like the MJF promo was a reminder of, hey, don't forget.
Yeah, I only feel like they kind of maybe changed the script when they signed Punk or Danielson because they weren't really sure about it. Right. And then once they did, they just kind of changed like a few weeks of the show, and now they're back on.
And luckily for the talent, though, also with all these guys coming in, there's so many people that whose brain can be picked, and they can get some good constructive criticism on their matches, and hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? It can really help improve these guys and gals. And
the important thing is they have the freedom to actually try things.
Exactly. So after the Adam Cole and Jungle Boy match, I wanted to talk about what happened after the Dante Martin and Matt Sydal versus Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson match. The winner was Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson, but looks like Arn and Cody are getting into it, which we touched on last week after the Malachi Black match. We thought that, Arn wasn't actually mad. He was just telling Cody, like, hey, I'm fine, like, get in the ring. But it looks like it is part of the storytelling now.
What a crazy promo.
I mean, look, we basically flat out called Cody Rhodes a pussy. Saying if a guy came up to my car, I'd pull a Glock on him, and you would just say, take my car.
He not only said he would pull a Glock, he said he would spill his brains over the pavement. And
then CM Punk's like, I don't think he's ever had a Glock, but something along those lines.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I liked. I've seen some memes today. It's all these Arn Anderson memes where it's like when you name your son Brock because it rhymes with Glock.
God, I mean,
all kinds of silly stuff.
They just gave that to the fans, basically.
That was such a wild promo that I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was so. I mean, I really wasn't expecting it, and then it just went off the rails.
And he also
kind of in a good way,
held
though.
His hand up to Cody like he's holding a gun. I'm like, all right.
It was getting a little wild there for TNT.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if the Nightmare Factory's splitting up or what's going on, but we'll just have to continue watching.
Definitely Arn and Cody.
Yeah. Well, if Arn goes,
I feel like. Just like everybody else, I like Cody, but man, he's starting to get on my nerves a little bit.
Yeah.
He is getting booed.
The crowd's booing
during that match. Every time he hit Dante Martin, there's a boo. Every time Dante Martin hit Cody, there was a cheer.
And then Punk was on commentary, and he was like, "Yeah, they don't like him."
Yeah, straight up. I mean, he'll just say how it is. But I thought also it was, speaking of Punk being on commentary, just as a side note, he was good on commentary. It was fun to hear him throughout the entire show, kind of like those times when Jericho's on the show the entire time on commentary.
Yeah, I liked him a lot too. I saw some people that didn't like him on Twitter, but I'm like, he
really
provided so much like insight into just wrestling and also like his kind of quick quibs or whatever it is. It was like they were hilarious. Like when he was talking about Adam Cole, and he was like, Adam Cole's the guy who probably listens to his own entrance theme while I was working out in the gym.
Oh yeah, he was witty on commentary this week for sure. Moving forward, I just want to touch briefly on the Hardy Family Office versus Dark Order and Orange Cassidy. I believe it was a 16-man tag match. Just, it was a really good tribute to Brody Lee. The Dark Order, put their differences aside. Brody Lee's wife had come out to, I forget which two gentlemen were arguing and were about to walk backstage, but she walked out with... Scott Grayson, is that his name? I feel like it was the two original guys, like when the Dark Order first came in. Yeah, Evil Uno and...
Yeah, whatever his name
I think you're right, Scott Grayson. But yeah, like Ty Conti came out, Anna Jay, Little Brody, and his wife, and the wife was like, get in there.
Yeah, that was nice.
And that they sold it as, that was the motivation they needed. Like, she was like, "Are you kidding me? You're doing this? Like, get in there." And so that was really cool to see.
It was nice to keep it simple like that, not to like overdo it with, people were expecting Bray Wyatt, I think, but that would have been.
And I still don't think his 90-day clause is up.
Yeah,
it's definitely getting close. But after that, I wanted to touch on just your thoughts. Leo Rush is All Elite now.
He didn't.
Now
retire
I don't
yet,
remember.
did he?
He's retired. Like, yeah, he might have already retired after signing the contract. I think didn't he have a match in the early days of all of?
He
I was gonna say
the Joker in one of
AEW
the Casino Battle Royals.
But yeah, it was just a one-time thing.
Yeah, well
So
then he retired after that.
Yeah, and then he went to rap music, and now he's back. So we'll have to see how long he sticks around.
I don't have much to say on that. I've met him. I'm not a huge fan of the guy.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna dive into that. I'm sure you don't want to either. So.
Yeah, I met him at a MCW show. That's where he was. I think when he was in Ring of Honor, he would still come and do MCW shows in Maryland, and I've had the displeasure of meeting him, unfortunately.
So after that, we had the MJF in-ring segment that we had mentioned earlier. Really cool segment, in my opinion. He talked about the 4 pillars of the company, and he names them Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, and he said, of course, myself. As a whole, this show, I felt, besides the Brody Lee tribute, highlighted those 4 pillars. Each of them had a match. Besides MJF, MJF had this in-ring segment, but all guys are homegrown talent. And thinking back, I'd never seen any 4 of these guys in any other, at least main company. They were all, I think, indie guys basically beforehand. And all 4 of them have been showcased since the beginning. They are going to be the guys that are around when, Kenny Omega can't go anymore, and Bryan Danielson, CM Punk. They are doing that long-term storytelling, letting the audience see these guys evolve and grow as talent. And it's really cool to see. And MJF, like you said, Tim, reminded us of that tonight in case we forgot.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was a really strong promo. I think the part about...
Could have gone without the Darby Allin straight edge and his uncle dying in the
weird.
car crash. And he said, the wrong man died. I was like,
getting
all
weird.
right. It's like going a little hard.
So then anyone else could say that?
Yeah, right. So they after that they announced a couple things. They
announced two or one official. Well, they announced a couple of matches, but the 2 main things I wanted to get in is for this upcoming Rampage this Friday. We got Bryan Danielson going against Nick Jackson. I'm sure that's Nick Jackson singles is. I think he's very good. You don't get to see him too often, but I think Matt was hurt for a little while in the beginning of AEW, and you got to see a couple single matches with Nick Jackson. So that, I feel like that'll be really good. But they're also bringing back the Casino ladder match to next week's Dynamite, and winner will get a title shot. So I wonder if they'll bring in, someone secret, maybe Bray Wyatt, maybe someone else whose contract has gotten up, maybe just someone that's popping in for, just a quick run in the company.
I don't know. We will have to see.
Those are usually pretty good matches.
All right, main event of the show.
So the main event was Sammy Guevara versus Miro for the TNT Championship. This match was awesome. Miro basically, for the most part, destroyed Sammy Guevara the whole time. But Sammy's comeback and everything, which made, in the end, he won. He became the new TNT champion. I thought it was, the right move. His comeback, though, was really awesome. It kind of shows that you don't have to be the biggest guy to make it believable to beat, this monster. And Miro's had it for a long time, but I thought I said it last week. I thought if anyone should or could take the title off of him and the fans be fine with it, it would be Sammy Guevara. And he did. So that was really cool to see. Congratulations to him. But I thought it was a really good way to end the show with, again, like we said, one of the 4 pillars getting his first title in AEW.
Yeah, I thought that match was awesome too. The only thing I wish they had like a little bit better build to it, but other than that, I thought
It was very quick.
Yeah, the match was awesome. The ending was great, and then also when Sami won, and then there's confetti and there's all this stuff. I thought that was really great.
Crowd
I hope
was
they
really
do that
happy
for
for
like
him,
each
too.
time that the TNT Championship switches, just to make it feel bigger and it's like on the channel too.
Well, you got to think also, like, it being a Brody Lee show, this being the main event, it was the last title he ever held that he never lost.
That's
and
true.
It was also a good way to go out.
Yeah, I liked the match too. I thought it was really solid. I'm going to come in with a little bit of a different take before we close out the show. I just wanted to say I didn't think that it was time for Miro to lose yet. I'm happy for Sami. I thought it was cool. Like you said, Andy, if there's going to be somebody who's going to do it, I'm glad it was him. I just didn't think it was time yet. I just thought his build of his monsterness was his, if that's a word, his
of the Redeemer.
Yeah, I've just thought that was his. I thought that was still building. I didn't see it ending yet, but hey.
Well, I guess you can say that God really did turn heel because it didn't help his own champion.
There you go.
And he's doing that to Finn. Man, God is just he's on another level lately. All right, guys. Well, before we close out the show, I just want to give a quick shout out to Judge Jody. Judge Jody is a friend of the show, and it is her birthday today, so we wanted to give a shout out to her. Guys, please follow us on Twitter at the PW Fan. Follow us on Instagram at the PW Fan. Follow Andy's Funko Pop collection on Instagram at the 410 Fan Bros. And we have full episodes on YouTube where you can like and subscribe. Thanks again for listening, and join us next week on the PW Fan Podcast, where we talk about all things wrestling. And rest in peace, Chris Kanyon. You were missed, my brother.